Advent season begins, a time of reflection and hope. Sunday, December 3rd, 2024. Christians worldwide are marking the first Sunday of Advent, signalling the start of a sacred season of spiritual preparation leading to Christmas. Rooted in the Latin word adventus, meaning coming, Advent invites reflection on the birth of Jesus Christ and his promised return. The first Sunday centres on hope, with churches lighting the first candle of the Advent wreath, symbolising a beacon of light amidst challenges. Special prayers and sermons encouraged believers to find renewal and anchor their lives in faith and hope. Advent traditions extend beyond churches, as families light candles at home, share prayers, and reflect on hope's transformative power. Faith leaders emphasise the importance of pausing during this busy season to prepare hearts and minds for the deeper meaning of Christmas. Advent progresses through themes of hope, peace, joy, and love, culminating in the celebration of Christ's birth. It's a season of renewal, calling Christians to rediscover faith and share the light of hope with the world. Christian girl accuses employer of attempted rape, faces false theft allegations. Lahore, December 5, 2024. A Christian teenage domestic worker, Muskan, and her family are facing false theft accusations after she accused her Muslim employer, Kamran Haider, of attempting to rape her. Muskan alleged that on October 17th, Kamran, finding her alone at home, tried to assault her. The attack was interrupted when her mother arrived, forcing Kamran to release her. Refusing to return to work, Muskan's family later faced an FIR from Kamran, accusing them of stealing gold, worth Rs. 8.5 lakh. Muskan's cousin, Yasir, called the allegations retaliation for rejecting Kamran's advances. A local employer vouched for the family's honesty as they now fight the case in court. Human rights activists condemned the misuse of legal systems and demanded justice. Advocacy groups stress reforms to protect domestic workers and vulnerable families. US Congressman and UN Committee highlight persecution of Christians in Pakistan. US Congressman Clay Higgins urged President Biden to address Pakistan's persecution of Christians, calling it unacceptable. Highlighting Shagufta Kiran's death sentence under blasphemy laws, he stressed US intervention is critical for her release. Higgins criticised $1.2 billion in US aid to Pakistan, labelling the government oppressive. A UN report condemned mob violence and misuse of blasphemy laws targeting minorities. It called for reforms, judicial integrity, and accountability to protect vulnerable groups. Rights groups hope international pressure will drive meaningful changes for persecuted communities. British MP calls on UK to address systemic discrimination against religious minorities in Pakistan. UK MP Jim Shannon condemned Pakistan's treatment of minorities, citing forced conversions, violence, and systemic discrimination. He criticised Pakistan's blasphemy laws as tools for persecution, fostering intolerance and marginalising minorities. Shannon highlighted the plight of young Christian and Hindu girls forcibly converted and married, calling for urgent reforms. He urged the UK government to press for stronger legal protections and an independent police force. The UK Parliament passed a resolution demanding action against forced conversions and human rights abuses, emphasising Pakistan's failure to uphold international human rights standards. Muslims threaten pastor, putting New Apostolic Church's Christmas Mass in Kasur under threat. Pastor Asim Masih of the New Apostolic Church in Kasur faces threats from local Muslims, jeopardising Christmas Mass. The dispute began on November 29, 2024, when attackers abducted and assaulted his brother over a cattle disagreement. Armed with guns and axes, the assailants injured the pastor and his family before fleeing as police intervened. the attackers later blocked access to the church and threatened to prevent Christmas prayers. Despite Pakistan's constitutional guarantees, the Christian community remains under threat, calling for urgent action to ensure their safety and rights. Christian trader, abducted and extorted by police in Kasur. Christian trader Sabah Masih was abducted and tortured by policemen in Kasur, extorted for his £270,000 under threats of fabricated charges. On November 2, 2024, he was intercepted, beaten and blindfolded while travelling home with his family. Sabah's relatives paid the demanded sum for his release, but perpetrators threatened further harm if he reported the incident. Despite filing an FIR weeks later, Sabah fears ongoing harassment. Advocacy groups condemned the abuse, urging action against corrupt officers and reforms to protect marginalised communities from systemic exploitation and injustice. Prominent figures honoured for promoting global peace and interfaith harmony. In a Canada-hosted event by A Better Community for All and Yes, Peace, global leaders were honoured for promoting peace and interfaith harmony. Certificates were awarded to figures like Mufti Saeed Ashiq Hussain and Reverend Father James Channon for fostering religious unity. Reverend Yuel Bati's dedication to advancing global harmony was widely praised. Speakers stressed the need for interfaith dialogue and collaboration to build a peaceful society. The event concluded with a collective pledge to uphold peace and tolerance while continuing efforts for a more inclusive world. Ministers advocate for Independent National Minorities Commission. A ministerial committee, led by Rana Sanola, called for an autonomous National Minorities Commission to safeguard minority rights in Pakistan. The proposed 13-member body will include 9 minority representatives. Law Minister Tara emphasised independence from political influence for effective protection. The committee also reviewed an interfaith harmony policy, promoting tolerance and reducing extremism. Recommendations include finalising the bill and policy for federal approval. Advocacy groups hope these measures will enhance protections and address systemic challenges faced by Pakistan's minority communities.